If ever there was a time for the U.S. to have a skilled team of diplomats deployed all over the world, now would be that time. Unfortunately, though, that is not the case. Of America's 195 ambassador posts, 109 of them remain vacant. Joining us, staff writer for The Atlantic, Tom Nichols. So, Tom, you looked into this. Explain why this moment in particular calls for skilled ambassadors.
This moment in particular, but let me just say, the times always call for skilled ambassadors. But right now, a major war, the largest war since World War II, is raging in the middle of Europe. The United States is in a hot war in the Middle East. The United States is in a cold war with its two major adversaries in Russia and China. There's a lot of bad stuff happening in the world, and you need ambassadors, people who can keep the flow of information moving, people who have the power to speak on behalf of the president. That's what ambassadors are. They're the personal representative of the president. People who can smooth over ruffled feathers about things like tariffs or possible peace deals in places like Iran and so on. And the president just doesn't care. I think it's a combination of two things. I think he doesn't really understand what diplomats do. He doesn't care. And I think he probably doesn't trust them either. He probably thinks of diplomats as people that are somehow career diplomats, as people outside of his control. So the few posts he has staffed have been with cronies and extended family and friends and, people that aren't professional diplomats, but that he thinks he can trust, I imagine.
So which posts are most glaringly vacant?
Russia, Ukraine. And it's not just a problem of posts that are vacant. The problem is the posts he's filled with people who are embarrassing. Charles Kushner is the ambassador to France. His ambassadors in places like Jerusalem and Poland and other places have made a hash of things. There are plenty of places where we need professional diplomats, and I'm hesitant to prioritize other countries because all of them are important. I mean, we have, as you can see from the graphic, we have Kimberly Guilfoyle in one of our NATO allies in Greece. We have Matthew Whitaker as the ambassador to NATO. Herschel Walker is the ambassador to the Bahamas. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But beyond that, we have, as you pointed out, over 100 posts that are empty. And thank goodness we have competent professional diplomats, the Chargés d'Affaires, and others who can run those embassies, but they cannot be ambassadors. They are not the people who can pick up the phone, call the foreign minister, call the head of state, and say, I am the personal representative of the president. I'd like to have a meeting with you, or I'd like to tell you some things or get some information from you. And that hobbles American diplomacy. And that probably suits Trump just fine because he prefers to do all these things himself. The problem is he and his team are not any good at this. And so our diplomatic efforts everywhere are hampered.
There's always a degree of dealing out ambassadorships to friends or to big donors in every presidency. So how is this one that much different?
Yeah, as I noted in the piece, look, every president makes appointments to big donors or to pals. Sometimes that works out. Sometimes these turn out to be people who are skilled. In other cases, these people turn out to be embarrassments. The problem is Trump isn't filling any of these posts, and the people that he is filling them with are people who are embarrassing. I don't think anybody should criticize Trump for stashing a few friends and donors and a few posts, because every president has done that. They shouldn't, but it's an old American tradition and it's just unavoidable. The problem is that Donald Trump is stashing a lot of these people in important posts where they can do a lot of damage, and then he's not filling other posts and simply leaving them empty. As in places like Russia. I mean, we don't have a full-time ambassador to Russia or Ukraine. That, to me, is crazy.
Yeah, that does seem pretty insane to me as well. Who is acting as that ambassador to Russia? Or if we're trying to negotiate a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, would ambassadors be a part of that? Or is Steve Witkoff enough?
No, he's not enough. And what ambassadors do, even when there are special envoys or when there are people sent directly from Washington, ambassadors can then pick up the slack keep in touch with other people at their level, keep in touch with the leaders of the countries to which they're posted, transmit more messages that, again, have the gravitas of the President of the United States. They can pick up the phone and say, we need to talk to you about something, or I need to get clarification on something in a way that a chargé or other diplomatic personnel cannot. And the problem is that Trump is dual-hatting a lot of people. He's got, for example, the ambassador to Turkey is also responsible for Central Asia. Well, Central Asia is, 85 million people. It's 5 very different states, and 4 of them don't have an ambassador. There's simply no way that you can do effective diplomacy that way. But Trump wants all of this concentrated in the hands of people he trusts. And unfortunately, the people he trusts are not professional diplomats, and they don't know what they're doing.
All right, Tom Nichols, always good to have you. Thank you very much.